Mayong hapon sa tanan. Thank you for spending your Saturday afternoon with us. Welcome to another session of ILOMOCA Art Club's virtual urban sketch. Today's session is our tribute to the Ilonggo hero Graciano Lopez Jaena from Jaro. We are going to draw the monument honoring the writer with the help of our guest artist, Nina Martinez. Due to the restrictions, Ilomoca is still closed until further notice. However, for the past few months, we have actively produced educational content for teachers and homeschool educators. If you love our content, please support our art education advocacy. So we are having an open donation through our museum's GCash account. Just take a screenshot of the photo that you are seeing on your screen for you to have a copy of the GCash QR code. You can also email us at megaworldmuseums@gmail.com for more information. So a little help really goes a long way. So while you prepare for our virtual urban sketch, let's get to know our guest artist. So our guest artist is Nina Martinez. She is a freelance illustrator in Makati City. She graduated in 2016 from the University of the Philippines with a BFA in visual communication. When she's not drawing for a diverse range of media, including children's books, videos, and podcasts, she makes original comics. So her illustration has been published by Adarna House and Bad Student. And she has forthcoming work with Goethe Institute. And in 2019, she became the recipient of the Philippine Board on Books for Young People, the Wordless Book Prize. There. So thank you, Nina, and welcome to the Ilomoca Art Club virtual urban sketch.
Hello. Hi. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Ilamoka. Ayun, so that's me. Ayun na yung bio ko, if you would like to read it. As they said, I'm an illustrator. One of my favorite topics is nature and children and landscapes. So you will see a little bit of that today. Yan yung mga past works ko that deal with landscape and nature. And as you can see, I like to go for a simple palette, which you'll also see today, so that you can see how much you can achieve sa loob ng 40 minutes. And also to give an otherworldly feel. My day job, supposedly, is I illustrate children's books. I have been illustrating since 2016. I have books with the Bookmark Company and Adarna House. You'll see that on the next slide. It's one of my favorite things to do because it's both educational and I get to draw sometimes historical things and sometimes nature nga. So that's why I'm so excited about today's live sketch. And then in the next slide, you'll see in my off time, I really like to write and create original comics. So that's an experimental comic na parang fortune teller, origami, rather than a normal page comic. And then these I like to sell in cons or zine fests. Though, of course, those had to be put on hold lately because of the pandemic, and I miss them a lot. The next slide, I think, has the rest of my comics done. So if you're interested in any of this, I'll be sharing my social media later where you can look at them and you can buy them online. And some of them are available digitally online. Thank you so much. Ayan, let's proceed.
Thank you. Wonderful work, Nina.
Thank you.
We will post the link to more of Nina's work later for those who want to view them. So hope you have your materials ready by now. But in the meantime, let's hear our museum associate Joshua Aristosa as he gives us a brief refresher on the life and works of Graciano Lopez Jaena. Take it away, Josh.
Hi everyone. So, the Graciano Lopez Jaena Park, also known as Jaro Plaza, is one of the many parks located in Iloilo and Panay. It was constructed a few years ago as a monument to its namesake. Graciano Lopez Jaena was a Filipino journalist, orator, and revolutionary from Iloilo. He is well known to be the editor-in-chief of La Solidaridad. Graciano was born in Jaro, Iloilo City on December 18, 1856. His mother worked as a seamstress while his father was a repairman. Feeling that the priesthood was the most noble profession, his mother sent him to study at the St. Vincent Ferrer Seminary in Haro. While there, he served as a secretary to his uncle, Claudio Lopez, who was the honorary vice consul of Portugal in Iloilo. His dream of becoming a doctor influenced his parents so much that they considered this to be the better path to take. Graciano sought enrollment at the University of Santo Tomas but was denied admission for the reason that the required Bachelor of Arts degree was not offered at the seminary in Haro. However, he was appointed to the San Juan de Dios Hospital as an apprentice. Unluckily, due to financial troubles, his parents could not afford to keep him in Manila. He returned to Iloilo and practiced medicine in the communities. Most of his Ilonggo patients were poor and unhappy, enduring a miserable life under the Spaniards. Some patients complained of being beaten and injured by local Spanish officials. Graciano's immersion with them kindled his desire to speak and write in their behalf. Because of his help to the community, the park at Haro was made in his honor. His statue now stands at the west side of the park, fronting the monument of the Ilonggo veterans during World War II. On the east side is a large gazebo with his name printed on top of it. This virtual sketch is a tribute to Graciano Lopez Jaena's 164th birthday, which we celebrated yesterday. That's it for the history. I'm sure you're all excited to start sketching, so I'll turn you over to Miss Aline again.
Thank you, Josh. Graciano Lopez Jaena is an inspiration to the Ilonggo youth. So in the past, we've done watercolor and paper for this virtual sketch session. But this time, we would like to share with you how virtual urban sketching is done through Photoshop. Let's welcome back our guest artist, Nina.
Hello. Yes, hello. Okay, I'm ready to go. And this is my setup. So ayan, my canvas now. And then you'll see the reference we're taking from on the side. It was taken by my friends here in Iloilo Museum of Contemporary Art. Thank you so much. Let's start. As you can see, my canvas is gray. And there's two reasons for that. One, to prevent eye strain. So I encourage that to all of you digital artists, not to start with yung standard white because you'll be staring at that for a long time. And two, because I know that my background will not be white in the end. So I want to familiarize myself now with a neutral background. So let's start with our sketch. I'm going to use white line art. You'll see later kung bakit. And then, so I'm going to make really basic marks muna, just to outline where the trees start. And then I want to mark the top of the tower at the back so that I don't accidentally make a tower that goes too far. Because if I start here sa base, and then I might accidentally poke the top of the canvas, I want to make sure everything's in proportion. So let me just draw the very rough outline. This is just for our guide. It's not the final art. Very rough outline of the trees. And then we'll make that look much better later. So I want to make the tower at the back. So once again, very rough lines. This is just for your guide. And then remember, since nasa Photoshop ka, or actually any desktop program, if you just hold down Shift, you can make perfectly straight lines. So use that to your advantage. I mean, in real life, you have a ruler. So you can just replicate that with Shift on Photoshop. So again, just making straight lines. Mark where you'll draw certain things later. And then my window dito. So just make that shape. This will look much better later. Don't worry. And then I noticed medyo walang space for the dome, so it's okay. We can just adjust that. This is your sketch after all. And then there. Kasha na siya. So now you have that to guide you. I'm gonna proceed sa statue, and now I'm going to use black line art for my sketch so that it differentiates it. And then I can remember what's the foreground and what's the background. So I want to start with the pedestal at the bottom so that I don't accidentally leave it out. I'm probably gonna make a mark around here. As you can see, medyo slanted siya sa reference picture, so I'm copying that. Yung a common mistake of a lot of people, because in real life we know that it's straight, we want to make a straight line, but as you can see, everything is at an angle, so use that to your advantage. It makes it more lively, more playful, etc. So once again, just to make it quick, this is to mark it later. Ang saya lang because I actually chose this monument because I didn't know it was going to be his birthday this December. I just found the monument very interesting. So magandang coincidence lang. So I'm happy to be drawing Graciano Lopez Jaena. Another thing is kasi I recently finished another project where I drew the members of La Solidaridad. So medyo familiar na ako sa mga style ng bigote nila. I can tell you who's Plaridel, who's Jose Rizal, based lang on, if you just close up on their mustache, alam ko na yun. So it's quite ornamental, the pedestal. So I'll just draw quick marks here to remind myself later to draw it. Okay, let's start with the statue, my favorite part. So I'm going to use the statue, the building at the back as markers for where his head and where his finger is, so that the head niya is around here, where one of the lines of the building is, and then his feet exactly the reference. But that's okay because here you're allowed to change certain proportions for dramatic effect. Since parts of the So let's proceed. Ayan. Again, as you can see, basic shapes lang muna. Don't get overwhelmed with details. I want to make sure he fits first and foremost. For example, I can see he's a bit short here. So I'll just move this, select the pedestal and move it a little bit down so that I know that he fits. And then adjust lang ng onte. Don't feel guilty about these things because in traditional art, a person would just erase and draw it again. And that's what we're doing here. It's just a little faster. So ayan, there's his chest and there's his arm. I want to draw his legs to make sure and I don't forget. A little bit of adjustments. And then I believe that's a piece of paper he's holding there. So let's make a little thing to indicate that. And then it helps to mark yung waistline niya because sometimes if you don't, you'll be surprised kasi your legs end up a bit short. So it's a good halfway mark to tell you, okay, this is where I start drawing the legs. And ayan, his foot kind of peeks over the pedestal, so we'll show that. And then yung other niya, it's kind of leaning back and kind of disappears. So we'll show that. And then yung waistcoat niya, it shows at the back, parang cape. So we'll also mark that. Okay. And then small adjustments lang. Make sure you're paying attention to proportion. There, that feels right. I'm still hitting my marks dun sa a building at the back, but I can see na the rest of his body matches much better. And then Since I'm done with the general form, I want to start sketching some details na so that when I do it later, it's much more refined. Again, feel free to be messy. Now, it's a bit hard since na-angle yung face niya. It's not what most people are used to is when they're facing front or facing eye level with you. So rather than drawing each part of his face na parang this is the eyes, this is the nose, follow the shadows na lang. Draw where the shadows fall. And then you'll realize that you're making a much more accurate shape. I'm not even drawing the details yet. I'm just blocking it in because I'm going to refine that later. So when I zoom out, I notice medyo off proportion yung arm niya. So I want to fix that. It should be a bit farther. And then just draw, adjust it, and draw.
Nina, have you done urban sketches before?
In real life, ganon. I did it casually, nothing like this. So, oops, sorry, I almost deleted it. Grabe naman. I prefer kasi nature and people. So that's what I tend to draw. So you'll see a lot of my works actually are not urban but natural. But I like the challenge of this kasi I also really like statues and monuments. So because I like to draw people. So it's a nice addition, nice challenge. Ayan. So now I'm going to start my actual sketch. I want to make a smaller brush para mas precise yung strokes ko. And then again on the face, because it's the most important part. So I'll just hide my background sketch so I don't get so confused. See, now since you separated the layers, you're able to focus. So I know that we want to draw his forehead, and then medyo prominent yung cheekbone niya. So let's draw that. And then a strong chin as well. And you'll see, I'm not sure if you can see it, there's a very strong shadow under his chin. It's quite important. So I want to draw very strong. It helps to make your practice sketch very weak so that you don't get distracted or you don't follow it too much. It's just to remember where everything is placed. And so, for example, I'm not following the ear so much anymore.
Nina, do you have like preferred brushes in Photoshop that you use when drawing?
I really prefer anything that looks like a real pencil. If you guys are able to Google, check out Kyle Webster. Para siyang legend in the Photoshop world for his brushes. I think he charges for them na, but I think he has a few that are suggested donation lang. So it's free, but you can donate if you want. So check out those, yung pencil and inker brushes niya. It's so useful. This one I'm using is from him nga ata. So when you're doing a silhouette sketch like this, more important than detail line outline is shadow, because actually the shadow will be your outline, especially since statue siya, and that's how it's shaped. Okay, so face. Let's start. May way ba to zoom in on the reference picture for those watching? Okay. Okay, here's an interesting thing. So we know that the statue of Graciano Lopez Jaena has his mustache, though it's kind of lost in the light. Here's a reference photo. But since I wanted to stand out, I've decided I'll just break the rules a bit and give a very, very soft outline so that people know it's there. And and then his nose is quite a big shadow, so it's very prominent shape. And then yung cheekbones niya, they have their very own highlighter. So thanks to that, we have more definition here. Ayan. And I see his eyes are even more intense. So let's add in some of the black here, some of the black here. Ayan. So I'll just zoom out to see how we're doing and then check with the background. Okay, so I should probably start drawing the rest of his body. Let's try. Let's do that. Okay, so even here, I'm noticing that I drew the shoulders a bit too close. So I'll adjust it even more as I draw. Another good thing about your sketch is you'll be able to zoom out and see where you made a mistake, so you can adjust it in your final sketch. And yung shoulders niya. Bow tie. Hmm? Okay. So don't forget the details. For example, if you see his buttons, if you were thinking more simply, you would make a circle. But then we only see the shadow of the buttons. So we'll only draw that. And ayun, you can suggest it rather than draw the actual thing. And then this is where it gets a bit tricky kasi yung hand niya is very covered in shadow. So we can suggest the hand na lang since we're lacking information. We can see that he's holding a piece of paper. So here's the few fingers holding it. And parang there's one finger that's highlighted. So we'll show that a bit more. But then it's still mostly shaded. Ayan. And then we'll draw the rest of the paper. And since the paper is mostly black naman din, we'll also shade that in black. Urban sketching kasi is a great way to practice your shadows because you'll realize how much of light makes our sight. For example, I bet this statue looks completely different sunrise as opposed to sunset, and we'll see completely different highlights. So urban sketching is another way to capture a moment in time kasi it shows a specific time of day, specific time of year. Yeah, we cover it with shadow to match the drawing. And as you can see, I shaded it black, but then I left the outlines blank pa rin so that we still have a suggestion of what the paper is shaped like. And you'll see that later on as I draw the rest of this. Okay, so let's make that hand.
Nina, have you tried drawing using a mouse instead of a drawing tablet? This is a question that's been asked as well.
I tried when I was age 12, 13, and wala pa kaming tablet at the time. So I tried very hard. One thing I'll show you later might help you if all you have at the moment is a mouse. Kasi there are ways that Photoshop lets you draw without one. I'll show you in a bit after I finish this guy because we'll use a technique. And maybe it will help you as well for in the meantime while you're saving up for your tablet or wishing for one for Christmas. So let's draw his legs. One is tipping back, so you can use the folds of the pants to show na it's going backwards. Graceful niya, no? Okay. And then this one, there's folds in his pants, so let's reference that. Yeah. And then what's nice is his waistcoat is black at the back, so it gives us extra definition. So we can use that to shade this in and give more shape to the legs. And we'll see na medyo curvy siya dito. So we get to highlight that. Yeah. And I'm going to draw a bit more of his hand. Now, here's another challenge. Mostly black yung hand niya. In fact, we only see the outline of it on the side. So, first I'll just draw that outline as a guide. As you can see, I'm not even following my sketch anymore kasi I see where I went wrong. And that's okay. Checking lang kung in proportion siya. Okay. And then, as you can see, I'm looking at my own hand na since medyo far away na yung pic. And that's okay too. In fact, I use my own hands all the time as a reference. And you can do that too. So we have 3 fingers folded here. And now, since we see na mostly in shadow yung hand niya, we'll go ahead, put in that shadow and leave in the very light outline. And then we'll see it's only slightly shaded up here. So we again, I'm going to leave a very little outline for the fingers so that we don't lose it entirely. So there you go, a hand. And then here's a fun part. There's lots of folds in his sleeve. So let's draw some of those folds as a guide. And then since half of it is parang in shadow, I use that. I go ahead. Now you'll see that I'm following the direction of his arm. If I just go like this or like this, it kind of goes flat. So make sure you follow the clothes. Yeah. Okay, so we have that. And I want to do that shadow here on the rest of the body. I notice here sa other arm niya, we need a bit more shading. So I go ahead and put in that black part. Because once again, it's what's going to give your line art form and size. And then there's actually folds in his waistcoat by here. So let's add that. Okay, let's start. Here, I'm not so concerned now with details, so I'm gonna make my brush a bit bigger. Wait, sorry, one moment. Especially since it's not the focal point anymore, I can make it a bit more zoomed out. It's okay not to make as straight lines as before, especially since it's on a diagonal, because this gives it a bit more life. And it shows na sketch talaga ito, on the spot sketch. So there you go. And my decorations pa, so I'm going to make a quick suggestion of them. There you go. So what I said earlier, one way to draw with a mouse, because I understand, I know sometimes we have that problem, I'm going to make another layer under this line art. Because I want to make sure that when we show it with the background, we're not going to see all these lines. So how do I do that? If you're not familiar with the pen tool, familiarize yourself with it na, because it's very useful. I'm going to make an outline like this. And how do I make a curve like that? Hold down Alt, and ayun, kita mo may curve na siya. And then that way, you can make your messy line art with your mouse, which is what I did at the time. And then when I want to make the clean lines, I'm going to use the pen tool because it lets me make curves. It lets me make all kinds of shapes. So use that to your advantage. Okay, I'm going to continue making the outline. I'm doing this so that may fill in siya for later. And then I get to give him a completely different color from the background. And then you can be a bit loose here since my line art ka na, and then that will block naman the Just to show you that curve again, I'm making it here. So that way you can still make something graceful naman when you draw with a mouse. Oops. So what do I do with this shape I just made? I'm going to make selection, and then I'm going to fill it with white. Ayan, separated na siya. Except here, we know that there's nothing there, so you can just select that and cut it out. There. And now we have a figure. Okay, let's hide him for a moment. Let's go back to our background. This will be fun because it's surprisingly fast. Okay, so you remember I made white background sketch. Now I'm going to select a very, very rough shape. As in, I'm not even following it precisely. Very rough shape. Let's zoom out. And then fill it with black. And then now what will I do with this guide? I'm going to take an eraser. Actually, I'm just gonna use a brush that will erase it. And then I'm going to make the outline of the trees. Here you can just make little, that's a great thing if you're drawing with a mouse rin. Nature is very random, so you can be messy naman. As you can see, I'm erasing and it already looks like leaves, a bush, etc. And don't worry, we'll make that look more interesting in just a bit. And here for the background, I'm just going to holding shift again, I'm going to use erase. I'm just going to erase the side so that it matches my sketch. Yeah. And then it can have that same texture. See? And then there, parang I carved it out, kind of like a rubber print or a lino print. So I want to get these details in the building over it. So I decided, since it's a silhouette in the background, I want the line art to be white in contrast to our foreground. So ayun, I'm gonna carve it out of the black using the line art as a guide. My sketch as a guide pala, sorry. There we go. Lots of lines. So we try to get where the light hits it. I'm just looking at it without the sketch. I want a slightly smaller brush. And continue. Here's a nice thing. The window at the top there has a very little bit of light at the bottom. So I'm just going to make a very small hint rather than. And then the window is not quite complete. You can see there's a bit of black there. So let's focus on the top here. Oops, mali na nga. Okay. It's a very nice window frame that I want to keep. And then continue drawing. It's okay to not draw every single detail kasi imagine if you're out there in person and you're drawing this quick, you can't stay there all day. And another thing is, I want to capture this a bit like there's the sun behind them. So not every detail will be caught nga. So let me see that without the sketch. And now I think I don't need it anymore. So I'm just gonna fill in the details I haven't put yet. There. So, let's see how it looks like so far with our figure here. Ayan. So, let's do those trees, my favorite part. Okay. So, if you have Photoshop, you can go to the scattering in your brush, and then I'm gonna increase it so you can see it puts lots of brushes all over, and then maybe, and then you want to change the angle here sa shape dynamic so you can see it rather than one angle lahat. You have something more random. And lastly, I want to increase the spacing so it's more far apart. And so I'm going to look at where the light falls on the trees and start. And so you're gonna have a suggestion of the light falling on the leaves. I think I want it a bit bigger. Yeah. And then you can switch to black, and then you can add more leaves like that. There you go. So you can see parang it's leaves peeking out, but you can also make it look like the light is falling on the leaves. And then with that, I'm going to make suggestions of trees that are lower down here, but then there's not as much light. So super light touch lang. There. As you go lower, you can lighten your touch so that it's not as intense. And for example, dun sa mga gaps in the trees where there's not as many leaves, you can just really press hard so that you get this solid hole there, and then like little bits of light peeking through like that. And you don't even have to follow your reference here. Parang, where do you want the tree to be? Put the tree there. It's okay. Ayan. There. And as you can see, I can get really lost doing this because it's my favorite part. So I'm noticing right now that my hand is a bit lost in the details. Nawala na yung other side niya. So I'm thinking, why don't we bring it back a little bit? So I'm just gonna return to my old brush I used a while ago. And then I'm going back to my white fill. And then now, oops, black pala yung ginagamit ko. I'm going to give a nice outline so that we don't lose it entirely to the background. And we can also bring back focus to the hero himself because it's such a strong pose and we want to bring attention to that. And I also lost his coat here, so I want to outline that again. And then we brought back his coat. So, I also noticed may waistline siya dito and then I didn't erase it yet. So, oops, wrong eraser. So let's give him back his waist. Wait lang. There. And then leave just a little bit of white again so that we don't lose the outline. All the little cheats so that you can keep your background, keep your figure. Now for some final touches and then we'll decide the color, which is another favorite part of mine. I notice na wala yung sleeve niya. And then, ang ganda kasi, this statue is so cool because it even has his waistcoat. It just gets a bit lost in the light. So I want to add those details because I like that you can see his waistcoat if you close up or if you see it in person. Ayan. And then, adjustments. Okay, so say you want to decide the thing na. There's a reason I made it. The great thing, you already have a sense of the light. I already know that I want him to stand out. And then another thing is you can think about what's your mood. For me, I want to show this place at sunset. And usually, yung light of the sunset is warm, and sometimes it's even intense. So I'm thinking maybe I'll go for something more pink. Weird, no? But then we'll see if it works. So right now, a bit bright, so I'll lower that a bit here. But I think I like what I'm doing here. It's like a really hot sunset, and everybody's walking home. And then here's the statue standing out from everything. What can we give him, kaya? What do you think? Why don't we, since it's a statue made of metal and the sun is gonna hit it then? Oops. Something like that. So maybe I'll adjust it a little bit, give it a bit of an interesting glow. Right now, I like it when it's a bit hotter yellow instead of orange. So walking home, you look up to see the statue of Graciano Lopez Jaena, and that's what.
Thank you, Nina.
Thank you.
Medyo na-mesmerize ako dun sa movement ng brushes. And by the way, before we let you go, another question here is, what are your top tools now sa Photoshop that you would like to share with the viewers?
See, if I can mark my own, I really recommend you guys to get the brushes of Kyle T. Weber because they're great. For example, oops, here, this is a great pencil. You'll see na it looks like a thick pencil. That's one of my favorites. And then another nga is the pen tool, like I showed you, because I can make curves, I can make it wavy, I can make any shape I want, and then I can fill it in. I can make an outline like that, and then it's very useful. And then I guess maybe my last tool would be my last tool would be color range. Medyo advanced na to. But for example, let's say, oh no, I lost my original file. Flatness. I accidentally made the whole thing flat, but I want to take out this background. So I'm gonna select the color. You'll see na it's my main color, yung pink. I'll choose color range. And then you can see it makes it white, whichever part is pink. Ayan, so it selected all of the pink for me, and now I can change it just like that. Ayan, so when you lose your big file, it's a lifesaver. Ayan, thank you for the question.
Thank you, Nina. So we actually really learned a lot today. Even me, I feel like I want to try drawing on Photoshop.
Yay.
Because it's a lot easier to erase if you
and
make
adjust.
mistakes.
Yes.
Thank you, Nina. Hopefully we get to have more sketch sessions with you next year.
Yes, nice. Congrats on your final of the year.
Thank you. And don't forget to check out Nina's social media pages. So she actually has a website. It's ninamartinezart.com, and then at Instagram at Noontimes, and then Twitter at CyberSoybean. And so we would love to see your own digital sketch. You can post them and tag Iloilo Museum of Contemporary Art so that we can also see them. And again, thank you for joining us on our Urban Sketch session. And I would like to thank Nina and everybody watching For more content like this, please follow our social media pages and also our channel on YouTube. It's Museums Matter. Right, you can see our contact details on the screen, so you can also contact us for partnerships. If you want to request what we can sketch in the future, just drop us a message. And again, for those who would want to help the museum continue activities like this urban sketch session, here is the link to donate using our Gcash account. So today's virtual urban sketch session is the last live stream of 2020. We hope that you were able to learn from all the talks we have conducted this year. And if you want to watch them again, you can do so through our YouTube channel. Again, that's Museums Matter on YouTube. So thank you for supporting the programs of the Iloilo Museum of Contemporary Art. With that, malipayon nga Pasko kag bagong tuig. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. See you in 2021. Bye.